Hi, this is the lesson for Tuesday, October the 13th for 12th grade English. It's a relatively short video because it was a day that was heavy on discussion. Right. So what we looked at today was how we teach kids and why we teach the things that we do, where that comes from, and then most of all, how can we examine our own thinking so that we're doing the right thing by our kids? And we started with this question around parenting, but I'm going to take that even more broadly to mean just being with a child, teaching a child. And I used parenting to try to draw a distinction between school, the way that you are taught by teachers, how are you taught by the other adults in your life, and the parents are adults for a lot of us. And we ask these questions knowing full well there's no right answer, but really just to engage in discussion about things that you have felt as a child who's at the end of childhood, really. What has been successful about your upbringing? Not necessarily in a personal way. What do you think people can do for kids that's really positive? And then what are some things that we can learn about collecting our own opinions to examine them, to find out where our belief systems come from? This is a case study of the kind of question you can ask next week once we move into our independent project, where you're going to design your own question. Maybe this could be an interesting question for some of you. So teaching kids, what's the right way, and what about the wrong way? And we talked about this for like a 30-minute discussion. So why the video will be short. And then I took us to this example of slavery. But we did this in yesterday's class. So this is where it gets a little confusing. The lesson that I'm talking about today is really yesterday and today's lesson together. In some classes we repeated that same example just to make sure people understood it. So if you're watching today's, and you're like, this is really familiar, that's okay, just go straight to the stem, which is coming up next. So the stem is the same for today as it was yesterday. Here it is. And I think we're fully caught up in both classes. We did a couple of different things in both first and second block. That's why today's lesson and yesterday's lesson seem really similar. We did a piece of it in each class. And this stem is giving some trouble, so I'm repeating it. And if you're having a hard time understanding what I mean with this, substitute the word narrative for stories. So children are taught stories about the world. And I have an example here. I'll delete it after I take this video. Before children are taught stories about the world, they might not know that streets are dangerous. And they might walk out in front of an oncoming car. So it's good to be taught things. It's good to be taught stories about how things work in the world. Equally, you could pitch this as a negative. Before children are taught narratives about the world, they might believe that anti-racism is the way that we should all be. So it's not a judgment, this stem, it's neutral. You, with your words around it, get to decide how negative or positive you make the way that we teach our children. And that is Monday, Tuesday. We'll look at 2 articles tomorrow in a little more depth to keep making this topic complex. I do not have the answers. Thank you for your attention.